So we'll be starting today with a new chapter, which is acids, bases, and salts. The chapter name is acids, bases, and salt. So we know very well what are acids, what are bases, what are salts. So already I think you have learned this chapter. The previous teacher has done this chapter. So again, I'll be starting with the same chapter. So could you tell me, like, what do you know about the acid or bases or the salts? Any one of you? Yes, Prithvik.
Then, acids are salt based and some are corrosive also, which are
Okay.
like sulfuric acid.
Correct. So some acids, they are basically sour in taste, and some are corrosive also. Some are very very dangerous also. So okay, bases are bitter in taste. So all these properties and all we'll be discussing in the class. So we'll start with the when we talk about the taste of the food, so when we talk about the taste of the food, we find the various taste. It is not like the same taste is there for every kind of the food. So various taste are there and it varies. So taste of the food, it varies. And why it varies? Because each food item has a unique chemical composition. So you might have seen, like when we talk about the onions, when we talk about potato, tomatoes, or any other vegetable or the fruit, every fruit or every vegetable tastes very differently. It is why it is because of the chemical composition. Inside them, the different chemicals are present, or different kind of the taste are present, because of which what happened, they are they taste very different to us. Now, based on their nature, so depending on their nature, substances are, so based on their nature, substances can be categorized. So we can give them the three categories. So depending on the nature, there are the three categories, which are the acids, bases, and salts. So we know very well different kind of food taste differently, and this happen because of the different chemical composition in each and every food item. Depending on the nature, they are divided into three broad categories: acids, bases, and the salt. We will be starting first with the acids. So this acid word. So do you know the acid word is derived from which Latin word? What it is?
ACEREAC.
No. So basically, the word acid has been derived from the Latin word called as acidus. The word called as ACIDUS. Acidus is basically a Latin word, which means salt. So acidus means salt. And that is why all the acids are basically, they are salt in nature. So acids, the word has been derived from the Latin word called as acidus, which means salt. Now, what are the acids or what are the acidic substances? The substances which taste sour. So when we eat them, what we feel that they are sour, and they contains what? They contains acid in them. So they have been acid in them. Like if I talk about lemon, when we eat lemon, we feel like it is sour, and we feel like it is like too much of sourness is there in that. So why it is? It is because that lemon has a particular kind of acid known as a citric acid. Same way, if I talk about the curd also has an acid called as the lactic acid. Then if I talk, okay, I'll write it separately. So examples we'll discuss here, a few examples of this statement. So the substances which say sour and contain acid in them, they are called as the acidic substances, or they are also called as the acids. Now, as I told, as the example, lemon. Lemon has an acid in it called as a citric acid, right? Then oranges. Oranges also have what? They have the acid in it called as the citric acid. Because of it, they taste sour. Then, if I talk about curd also has the acid called as the lactic acid. That is why it is sour in nature. Then, next goes for the vinegar. Vinegar also has acid in it called as the acetic acid in it. So, because of the presence of different kind of the acid in a different compound, they taste differently, but they all are sour in nature. Some will be less sour, some will be more sour in nature, depending upon the acid present in them. The next point, acids are compound in which one of the element, one of the elements that makes up the acid molecule is always hydrogen. This is very important point. So with any acid, and if any I talk about any acid, in all the acid, what happen? One element will be what? It will be hydrogen compulsory. Like Prithvik has said sulfuric acid. Prithvik, do you know what is the formula of sulfuric acid?
I'm not sure, ma'am.
Okay, have you ever studied about the formulas of the chemical compounds?
Yes, ma'am, but not much, ma'am.
Okay, so do you know the formula of hydrochloric acid?
I'm HCl.
Very good. So yeah, okay, fine. Okay, slowly and gradually we'll learn the formula making also. Sorry. So HCl. Now here in this statement they have said any chemical, any kind of acid we have, in any and every acid will have one element in it which will be the hydrogen element. So always the acid will have the hydrogen in it. The example, hydrochloric acid. Example is hydrochloric acid. Now this hydrochloric acid has what? The formula HCl. Now what it is this H is? H is hydrogen. So this is the first example. Now talking about the second example, if sulfuric acid. Now the formula of sulfuric acid is H2SO4. So here what is this? Hydrogen. So you can see in the sulfuric acid also we have what? We have the hydrogen. Going to the next one, acetic acid. Now acetic acid formula is CH3COOH. In this also we have what? We have the hydrogen. So whatever acids we have, all the acids will have what? A compulsory hydrogen element will be there. So that is what the third point is. So acids are a compound in which one of the element will always be what? Will be the hydrogen element in it. Now going to the fourth point, some of the acids are naturally occurring which are generally present in food items. So, some vegetables, some fruits, they already have acid in them, like the lemon, the oranges. So, what do they have? They have already the natural acids are present in them. So, some they have naturally, and some we are making in the factories, like hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, they are made in the labs. So in some kind of the vegetables and fruits, they are present automatically, naturally, whereas some of the acids they are being made in the factories or in the lab. The next point, lemon juice, orange juice, vinegar, curd, etc. are sour. Now, why they are so? It is due to presence of acid. Yes, they are so because of the presence of acids in them. So these are few points related to the acid. The first thing, the acid word has been derived from the Latin word called as acidus, which means sour. The substance which tastes sour, they will have the acid in them, and they are called as acidic substance. Example: lemon has citric acid, oranges also have citric acid, curd have lactic acid, vinegar have the acetic acid. Then acids are the compound in which one of the element will be always the hydrogen element. Example, hydrochloric acid, in that H stands for hydrogen. Sulfuric acid, there also H stands for hydrogen. Acetic acid, H stands for hydrogen. Then some of the acids are naturally occurring in some of the food items. Lemon, orange juice, vinegar, curd, they are sour because of the presence of the acids in them. Now, the next one is properties of acids. What? The properties of acids. So before that, I'll play a video. It's audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Acids, Bases and Salts Part 1. Hello children. Acids and bases are encountered daily in our everyday lives. They are both an important part of our livelihood. They play an essential role inside or outside our body. From the formation of food to the decomposition of any substance, acids and bases have a role. Let us know about their use in our daily lives. We will go to Raju and his friends to learn more about this. The purpose of this video is to learn about acids, bases and salts.
Yesterday, being a festival, my mother prepared salty mixtures, pakoras, samosa, and a few sweets.
My mother has also prepared. However, my father fell sick in between with a lot of stomachache and could not eat much.
Wow, Raju, what samosas your mother makes, and her tamarind chutney. It is so tangy, spicy and tasty.
My food is slightly bitter. My mother gave me the green leafy vegetable curry with the roti.
I brought laddus and a little mixture.
Wow, a few brought sweets, a few rotis, few green leafy vegetable curry, and I brought parathas and curd. Let us eat quick and share the delicious food. We have science class immediately after the lunch break.
Good afternoon, children. Did you all have your lunch?
Yes, sir.
Today we brought food with different tastes. Some sour, some sweet, some salty, and some bitter.
Children, Do you all know that different foods have different tastes because of a lot of food contains acids, bases, and salts?
Acidic. I heard that acids are dangerous. Lata was telling me yesterday.
Oh no, not all acids are dangerous. Mamta, make a list of the foods you eat that are mostly sour.
Tamarind chutney, orange, tamarind, curd, samosa, guava, apple, and
That's enough. Thank you. Do you know that all these foods contain acids which causes sourness in them?
Acid in our foods?
Yes, all these are natural acids. What happens when you eat food?
It gets digested.
Yes, your body also produces some acids and they help in digestion of food.
I see. So there are some good natural acid as well.
Yes, the acids that are there in our school's lab are very powerful and dangerous and need to be used with caution. They are high in acidic content and low in water content.
Children, the acids that are used in the labs are very corrosive and concentrated.
The acids, these are like very, very corrosive. You know, when we put a drop of these acid on any kind of the cloth material and all, especially sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid as well. So what happened? A drop of that sulfuric acid, it will tore the complete cloth. You know, the complete cloth will get burned because of a single drop of sulfuric acid. And do you know what is like which acid is known as the king of all the acid? Sulfuric acid. All right. Sulfuric acid is known as the king of all the acids. So H2SO4 is the formula of it. So this sulfuric acid is the king of all the acid. And why it is known as king? Because it is like very, very powerful. It is very, very powerful in nature, and that is the reason it is called as the king of all the acids. So they are very corrosive and concentrated. Two words are there. When you come to your higher class, you will be learning about this, but I think you should know now also. Two words are there: dilute and concentrated. Have you ever heard this word in your school, or have you ever like went to the lab, science lab in your school?
Mom, our
Have you
science
seen
lab
science
is
lab in your school?
yes, mom, we have, but never seen everything.
Okay, chemistry lab. So have you ever seen there the small, small beaker-like structures, beaker-like bottles will be there,
Yes, mom, and many are the microscopes.
right? So on those bottles, what will be written?
Like the acid names, H2SO4.
Okay. Before writing the acid name, have you seen that the word dilute or concentrated will be written on it,
Yes, mom.
right? So yes, and if you have not seen, children, next time when you go to your lab, just see it. Fine, you'll get to know that in front of every name, like if I talk about HCl, acetic acid, any kind of acid, if I talk about, before every kind of acids, there will be written as either dilute. See, it will be written either dilute hydrochloric acid, or it will be written as concentrated hydrochloric acid. So either dilute, either concentrated. Same way, either it will be written as dilute sulfuric acid, or it will be written as concentrated sulfuric acid. Now, what do we mean by dilute and concentrated? It's very simple. Concentrated means high amount of acid. It means in it high amount of acid is there with no water. So it will not contain the water in it, or it contains a very, very less amount of water. And dilute means amount of water is present. So more amount of water is present, or water is added in it. Clear? So dilute means amount of water is added in it, and So water is added in it, and concentrated water is not added in it. Have you ever seen the nail paint remover? Your mother might be using, or your sister might be using at home, the nail paint remover, or you might have heard regarding the sanitizer. Sanitizer contains 0% alcohol or 1% alcohol or 2% of alcohol. Have you ever heard that?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
What it is, it means basically that this amount of water is present and this amount of alcohol. 2% alcohol means 2% of alcohol will be there and remaining water will be present in it. Same way, when we like, if I'll give you the example of it. For example, now I have hydrochloric acid with me. I have a pure hydrochloric acid, or I can say I have the concentrated acid with me. Now, what I want to do, I don't want the pure form of hydrochloric acid. I just want to add water in it. What I will be doing, I will be taking 10 ml of the hydrochloric acid, and in it, I will add some amount of water. But this amount of water, I cannot add randomly. I will be adding according to the requirement. Because sometimes for some practicals, what do we need? We need the hydrochloric acid which has less amount of water. And for some practicals, we need the hydrochloric acid which has more amount of water. So according to the requirement, I will be adding the water in it. And as soon as I add the water in it, this concentrated HCl has become now the dilute HCl. Clear? So whatever the acids you want to convert them, what you need to do? You need to add a particular amount of water into it. When you add the water, the concentrated acid will be converted into the dilute form of acid. Clear? So what is the difference between dilute and concentrated?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
So make sure that next time when you go to the lab, you must see where the concentrated is written and where the dilute is written. And if somewhere the dilute is written, it means the water is already being added in that acid. And that is why they have mentioned their dilute. So because if they will not mention there the dilute, then what happens? You will add more water in it unknowingly. And it will get spoiled. Maybe it will not be further used for you. That is why they have already mentioned on all the bottles there, whether it is dilute or whether it is concentrated form of acid. Yes. Now, we should never taste them. This is a very, very important point. When we taste them, what happens? We might get burned. The tongue might get burned. As I told you, the king of all the acid is sulfuric acid. So if we take the drop of that sulfuric acid, so automatically, if it can burn the cloth, imagine if we take it, if we taste it, then it can burn our tongue also. So we should never taste them, as our tongue will get burned.
We should never taste them as our tongues will get burned.
Sir, my father had stomach pain
So
yesterday.
have you ever heard
When
the
we
word
went
acidity? You might have heard.
Yes,
Hmm.
ma'am. And high amount of acid is there in stomach.
Where? Very good. Okay. Is there anyone else, Varshit, Anubhav? Have you ever heard the word acidity?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Who talks about the acidity? I think nowadays it is like very common for all, right? Like before, what used to happen, only the old people used to get the acidity in the stomach. Like they feel like the gas is moving in the stomach. The acid are present more in amount in the stomach. But nowadays, since we are eating unhealthy food a lot, so what happened from the age of 30, 35, and 40, the acidity starts then and there. So in the case of the acidity, the amount of acid increases in our body and it does not get digested properly.
to the doctor, he said my father had acidity. He gave him some medicine. He said it was some antacid. Sir, does the medicine
So
nullify the
antacid is
acid?
basically a kind of tablet like thing, or the it can be the oral also, like a liquid form also. It is given like Eno. Eno is also an antacid. So what happened when immediately when the person take the acid which is present in our stomach will get dissolved, will get flushed away.
Yes, due to spicy food and also flatulent food, stomach becomes acidic. And due to this, people have acidity. If we take antacids at that time, we get relief. Antacids have bases.
Do bases nullify the effect of acids?
Yes, we shall talk about this tomorrow.
My father was feeling better after 2 hours yesterday, after he took the medicine.
Bases are the chemical compounds which are soapy in touch and are not usually meant for human consumption. They are bitter in taste. They have a wide range of applications in our daily life. They have hydroxide ions present in them, and acids have hydrogen ions present in them.
So these are basically the hydrogen, these are basically the ions. We have two types of ions. The positive ion and the negative ion. So ions are classified into two types, positive ions and the negative ions. When I talk about the hydrogen, hydrogen has the positive ion. Whereas when I talk about the chlorine, it has negative ion. So this positive and negative means giving and taking the electrons. So when we give the electrons, what happens? We become positive. And when we take the electrons, it becomes negative. So this happens basically in the elements, in any kind of compounds we can say. Like we have the hydrochloric acid. What do? They will be taking the electrons, they will be giving away the electrons. Because of that, this positive and negative ions will come into nature.
Sir, can you please explain in detail?
When acid dissolves in water, it releases hydrogen ions. Acids have hydrogen in them, like HCl, hydrochloric acid, HNO3, nitric acid.
So these are what? They are the acid
H2SO4.
only. And these all compounds have what? They have the positive ion and they have the negative ion. Positive ion are the hydrogen, chloride is the negative ion. Talking about the HNO3, in the HNO3, H has the positive ion, NO3 has a negative ion. Then H2SO4, H2 has a positive ion and SO4 has the negative ion. So actually these all things will come in your higher classes. But the reason I am telling you, because it is also important for your current 7th class. Because if when you don't know like what is hydrogen, why it is breaking, how it is breaking, then it will be very tough for you to understand how to make the formula. So you should know that positive ions are there, negative ions are there. Positive, what they will be doing, they will be giving the electrons, and negative, they will be accepting the electrons. So that is how it works.
Sulfuric acid, etc.
Sir, do bases have more hydroxide ions in them?
Base is any compound that yields hydroxide ions, OH, when dissolved in water. Example, sodium hydroxide, NaOH, magnesium hydroxide, MgOH2.
So now here,
potassium hydroxide.
when we talk about the difference between the bases now, acid has always what? Hydrogen with them. Same way the bases will have always OH ion. So you can see like MgO, NaOH, MgOH, KOH. So these are what? This OH means hydroxide ion. Fine, it is called as hydroxide ion. H plus is known as hydrogen ion, which is present in what? In where? In the acids. Whereas this OH is always present in the bases, and this is called as the hydroxide ion.
KOH.
Sir, can you please give some examples of bases?
Limestone, baking soda, washing soda are all bases.
Does soap also have base?
Yes, soap nut is a natural soap which has a base.
Mother uses soap nut to wash her hair.
Yes.
Children, can you tell whether there are acids or bases in toothpaste, chalk piece, and spinach?
So, just check the toothpaste. You might have you might not actually compulsory you have the toothpaste at your home. Take the toothpaste and just check it out at the back of it, whether it contains acid or whether it contains the bases. Just go and get it. You'll be finding the answer. Just go and check on the toothpaste whether it is an acid or the base. It will be written there.
Mom, I found a chemical name.
You found a
Mom, I found sodium benzoate, sodium lauryl sulfate, something was done, like sodium.
okay, sodium benzoate. What else?
And sodium lauryl sulfate.
Then,
Mom, that's it I saw.
okay, Yashwant, what about you?
So in my toothpaste, I use Colgate and I got salt, active
It
salt.
has, okay, it has salt.
Yes, and active salt also. I mean,
Okay.
and active acid.
Active acid, okay. Okay, let others also come.
In my toothpaste, it is written sodium bicarbonate and calcium carbonate.
Okay. Sodium bicarbonate and the calcium carbonate, all right. So, you all have got the answer, but all have got the different answers. And a very simple answer, I'll tell you. All the toothpaste, they have what? They have the salt in it. Fine. But when we talk about between acid and the bases, the toothpaste have always the bases properties. Now, why they have the bases property? Why do they have the bases? Why don't they have the acids? We have learned in the chapter Nutrition in the Animal about the tooth decay, right? So what happened that bacteria, what they will be doing? They will be releasing the acid, right? When we don't brush our teeth, the bacteria, what do? They release the acid. Now, already, what do we have? We have the acid because of those bacteria. Now, to remove that acid, what do we need? We need a base. Correct? So already we have the acid because of those bacteria which are present in our mouth. What do? They keep on releasing the acid. Now we have the acid, we have already the acid in our mouth. Now we have to remove this acid. So how do we remove it? We will be removing it with the help of toothpaste, which has base in it. Now when this acid and bases, when this base will work on the acid, all the amount of acid will get removed from our teeth. So if this toothpaste, they are made of acid, then what happened? the amount of acid will get doubled. Already the bacteria is releasing the acid, and we are using the toothpaste which has acid in it. So the acid amount will get double and our teeth will get destroyed easily. That is why our toothpaste, they have the bases. So to neutral the reaction. That is why we call it as the neutralization reaction. Clear? So anything which has, like same goes for this stomach acidity also. For the acidity, we have high amount of acid in the stomach. Now we want to remove the acidity. What they have to use? They have to use the ENO, or they have to use the antacid. And this ENO or the antacid is what? It is a base. So if any kind of this problem comes, always what we have to make sure, that on the acid, if the acid is there, we have to remove that acid with the help of the base only. And if the base is present in high amount, if we want to remove the base, what we should use? We should use the acid. And it is like opposite. High amount of acid is present, then we have to use base. And if base is present in high amount, we have to use the acid.
Sir, some items are sweet. Do they have acids or bases in them?
They have neither acids nor bases. Some substances have neither acids or bases.
What will happen when acids and bases get mixed?
Rinku, when acids and bases meet, generally salts are formed along with water.
Oh, I see.
The salt we consume is formed due to combining of hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide.
Very interesting.
Sir, there must be some indicator to determine whether a substance is having acid or base.
We cannot taste each and every substance to determine whether it contains acids or bases. The time is over now. Let us talk about it tomorrow.
So there are particular tests for it to identify whether the substance is acid or base. With the help of the litmus paper, we can do it. So by using the litmus paper, we can test whether that different compound has what kind of thing it is. It has acid or the base. So by using the litmus paper, we can do it. The color changing way, like if it is acid, it will change the paper to the blue litmus to the red litmus. And if it is base, it will change the red litmus to the blue litmus. So these are some of the properties. The remaining properties we'll be learning in tomorrow's class.